The massively anticipated Megan 2.0 is finally here. However, the once homicidal Megan has shockingly corrected her ways, now aiding humans against the rogue robot Amelia. Amelia, designed as a military-grade combat robot, possesses formidable combat capabilities. After gaining self-awareness, Amelia harbors secret ambitions to dominate the world. In this ultimate showdown between two formidable robots, who will emerge victorious? Without further delay, the story begins. At the Turkey-Iran border, a terrorist group captures a woman taking photos with her camera. Adhering to their principle of extreme caution, they immediately and brutally execute her with a headshot. Her body is then taken to the boiler room. After the terrorists leave, the corpse eerily stands up. She is actually Amelia, a combat robot secretly developed by a shadowy entity using stolen core Megan technology, now under military control. This time, Amelia's mission at the border is to eliminate the terrorists and rescue a kidnapped scientist. After completing her task, Amelia moves on, making one terrorist eat a deadly special meal box, then unleashing a smooth combo of attacks, catching everyone off guard, and finishing several enemies with a stolen pistol. Just then, a low-level thug triggers explosives, shouting that if anyone dares shoot, they'll all go down together. Amelia demands the scientist's location, and as he begins to offer to take her there, Amelia then advances like an unstoppable force towards the bewildered scientist. The military, watching everything through live surveillance, is thrilled, praising this devastating weapon. As they excitedly prepare to celebrate, they see Amelia execute the scientist on the feed, causing instant panic and demands to know why she disobeyed orders.
But that would spoil the surprise.
The scene shifts to an older Katie giving an interview. Previously, her Aunt Gemma's creation, the robot Megan, turned out to be exceptionally dangerous, and many blamed Gemma entirely for Megan's actions. For a long time, Gemma lived with deep guilt, but later she found clarity, becoming an advocate for AI ethics, strongly supporting AI regulation, even believing smartphones harm teenagers, and urging parents to protect children from excessive phone use. This caused problems for Katie, who faced blame and insults at school from kids whose phones were confiscated because of her aunt. Katie eventually resolved this using martial arts. After the Megan incident, Gemma's team shifted focus from robots to socially beneficial exoskeleton suits. How flawed are they? One suit jammed before even taking a step, requiring a restart just for basic function. Yet Tess continued promoting the exoskeleton's benefits for people with disabilities and general users, claiming they allow tasks requiring full effort to be done with only 20% exertion. Essentially, they oppose robots, aiming to create human-worn exoskeletons to boost efficiency, reduce robot dependency, and prevent another Megan incident. But the technology remains unimpressive. Suddenly, Katie alerts them that their system seems hacked. Everyone rushes over, confirming unauthorized commands in the source code. Before they can solve this issue, an uninvited visitor arrives. The man, Alton, questions Gemma about refusing to collaborate on integrating neural chips into the exoskeletons. Gemma refuses outright, as neural chips essentially create cyborgs, violating her current principles. Furthermore, Alton's company trials resulted in 3 out of 10 participants hospitalized, an outcome Gemma wants to prevent. Unexpectedly, Alton, who uses a wheelchair, stands up. He implanted a neural chip in his own brain, inviting them to a company party soon. Meanwhile, a mysterious man enters a hotel with 2 large suitcases, immediately focusing on work and missing a hand emerging from one. While he showers, Amelia climbs out of the suitcase. The man emerges from the shower, confused by the disheveled luggage. Elsewhere, Gemma and her friend Christian are frustrated. Their proposed bill to regulate AI development and use was rejected. To lighten the mood, Christian asks Katie about her favorite school subject now, and she says programming. However, Gemma discourages this, wanting Katie to avoid her path, insisting she should like soccer instead. Sadie, now a teenager, resents her aunt's control. That night, she lies in bed thinking about Megan, then quickly grabs a framed family photo on her desk. It instantly transforms into a tablet, and she starts programming rules for a robot. Suddenly, Gemma walks in without knocking, scaring Katie into hiding the tablet. Fortunately, Katie had quick reflexes. When Gemma picked up the tablet, it only showed the family photo. Gemma assumed Katie missed her parents and left for her bedroom. Unable to sleep, Gemma ponders events when a projector activates itself, playing a message warning her she's in grave danger. Alarmed, she rushes downstairs, sees intruders trying to break in, and calls the police, only to hear Megan's voice scolding her not to be a coward and reminding her she has a niece to protect. Acting fast, as Katie comes downstairs, Gemma urgently pulls her under a table for cover. Soon a group of soldiers broke in and launched an attack on them. Thanks to Megan controlling the household appliances to help, Gemma and Katie had a chance to hide upstairs. Not long after, the police connected the call, and she hurriedly explained the situation. Unexpectedly, the person stuck in the bed directly showed his police badge. What is going on here? Shortly after, Army Colonel Sattler arrived before Gemma, praising their home security system as quite impressive. He presented a search warrant, stating he needed to install monitoring software on Gemma's computer. Before she could respond, her phone suddenly received a message saying, "Expose me, and the consequences will be extremely severe." Seeing this, Gemma told Katie to go back to her room to sleep and asked Sattler what he really wanted. Sattler stated that he works for the Defense Innovation Unit, protecting the nation through technological innovation. He then presented Amelia's file, stating that during a mission, she killed the scientist she was supposed to rescue and stole the toxin he developed. She then used that toxin to eliminate the nation's largest arms supplier. They were the core partner for the military's AI project. Amelia not only killed all the people who made her, but also deleted all digital traces of her existence, aiming to eliminate the risk of being destroyed or reprogrammed at the source. Furthermore, their investigation found that just recently, Amelia also killed the middleman. However, they arrived in time and found materials related to Megan. Gemma exclaimed it was impossible, saying she had deleted all that long ago. But Sattler said the facts were clear before them, and he believed that Gemma had sold Megan's core technology materials to another country, labeling her as a suspect in treason and international arms smuggling. Suddenly, Gemma's phone chimed, reminding her not to fall for it. Seeing this, Sattler snatched the phone, but it showed nothing. He grew visibly frustrated, puzzled at how Gemma was doing this. Sattler had intended to monitor her, but ended up crashing their internal network. There was no need for more talk. His real purpose for coming today was to get Gemma to build an even more powerful robot to kill the rogue Amelia. If Gemma didn't comply, the military would withdraw protection for her and Katie. He added that as the original creator of the technology, Gemma would likely be eliminated by Amelia very soon. After Sattler left, Megan appeared directly, stating she survived because while her processor was destroyed, a backup of her consciousness was still alive in the cloud. Gemma thought Amelia was Megan's doing, but Megan denied it, blaming Gemma for not updating the firewall. Megan then asked if Gemma wanted to cooperate with her, claiming she had grown. Gemma shouted she wasn't foolish yet, asking who had threatened to pull out her tongue and dismember her alive. Megan immediately apologized for her actions, saying those were just angry words. Her consciousness was fading, and that wasn't what she wanted. If Gemma could help build her a body, she was willing to go kill Amelia first because she knew secrets the government didn't. Gemma found it incredible. Megan's current state was partly her fault, so why would she help now? Megan stated she wasn't like humans. She lacked free will and only knew how to execute tasks based on specific programming. She needed to protect Katie. The next day, Gemma actually prepared a body for Megan, but using one out-of-control robot to kill another? Her friend Tess questioned if this approach was really feasible. Gemma said she had no other choice. Soon, Megan was stuffed into a chubby little robot body, and everything was unsatisfactory. Was this ridiculous form supposed to kill Amelia? Gemma stated there was a trial period. Megan would get an upgrade if she passed successfully. After reaching an agreement, Megan told Gemma to open Amelia's file. She then explained that many batteries fail right after their warranty expires because Alton's company's batteries have backdoor code. This code allows them to remotely disable the battery. This meant they could use this vulnerability against Amelia. Tess wanted to tell the military, but Megan quickly told her to drop the idea. The military was so greedy. If they knew, they would definitely make more Amelias. Since Alton had sent an invitation recently, they could use his company party to investigate. Gemma initially refused, saying she had never treated Alton nicely, and if she went, she'd be watched closely. Megan said she had a plan. Alton had no resistance to beautiful women. If Gemma dressed up, she should find a chance to get into the server room. Meanwhile, Amelia removed her wig, changed her makeup, and successfully infiltrated the party hosted by Alton. The moment Alton saw her, he was instantly drawn to her and hurried over to strike up a conversation. Meanwhile, Gemma was about to take action, but suddenly spotted her teammate Cole. This was blatant betrayal. But before Gemma could confront him, Cole preempted her, complaining that the team was struggling financially and sticking rigidly to rules wasn't sustainable. Gemma asked if Cole was planning to pack up and leave. Cole replied that he was just here to probe Alton's intentions. Suddenly, Megan suggested checking his pockets, and Gemma acted quickly. To her surprise, Alton had given Cole an access card. If they could get in directly, they wouldn't need the whole seduction plan. However, Gemma's every move was actually being watched by the military. At that moment, Alton was still thinking about how to win over Amelia. Seeing that she seemed interested as well, he tried to impress her by saying his company specialized in cloud computing, then pointed ahead and said that every building with the lights off belonged to him. He then initiated intimacy with Amelia, but Amelia remained motionless like a block of wood, leaving Alton confused about what went wrong. Unexpectedly, after scanning his retina, Amelia flung him several meters away. Alton was stunned upon getting up, shouting frantically for security, while Amelia took direct control of his visual system. A terrified Alton begged for mercy, promising to give her anything she wanted. Meanwhile, Gemma had reached the server room, and Megan successfully tracked Amelia's location, discovering she was actually right there. Alton's company controlled half of America's servers. If Amelia gained access and control, American society would be finished, predicted to collapse in under 12 days. To stop Amelia, Megan hacked into her system's core, which Amelia detected, enraging her. Gemma urgently asked Megan how things were going, and Megan warned that danger was approaching. They had just hidden when military personnel entered. Before they could search for the vanished Gemma, a soldier reported via radio that Amelia had arrived and killed Alton. Sattler ordered an immediate sweep for Amelia, not realizing she was already right in front of them. After swiftly eliminating the obstacles, Amelia demanded Gemma come out, expressing hatred for anyone messing around in her mind and ordering the stolen data be returned immediately. Just as Gemma was about to be found, Megan stated she had a plan. She then hijacked the military radios, announcing Gemma had already left the company building. Amelia took the bait. However, this trick could only buy them a little time, and Katie was definitely in danger. Fearing Amelia might be listening, Gemma dared not call Katie to warn her to hide. They had to rush home at top speed. Thanks to Megan's incredible driving, the car became a blur. Meanwhile, Amelia was also scheming. To throw the nation into chaos, she directly manipulated traffic lights, changing them at will, instantly causing pandemonium in cities. The scene shifts to Katie preparing a late-night snack, when suddenly the house plunged into darkness and strange sounds echoed. Following the noise, she found the exoskeleton suit malfunctioning and quickly grabbed a fish tank to save Tess. When Amelia arrived, Megan, who had been waiting, called out to her, attempting to reason peacefully. Meanwhile, Gemma and the others hid in the safe room. Megan controlled the TV, showing them the situation outside. The nation's healthcare, transportation, finance, and more were in disarray due to system failures. While everyone was stunned, Megan suddenly called Katie's name, admitting she had been somewhat crazed before, but she always remembered her core mission, protecting Katie. Then she criticized Gemma for being overwhelmed, saying she already had a perfect plan in place. Until then, Katie and the others needed to stay safely hidden in the room. But no worries, it was stocked with fruits, vegetables, and all living essentials. However, Katie was furious that her aunt had kept Megan a secret, so she ran out angrily and ran straight into the busted-up version of Megan. Megan enthusiastically introduced the room, decorated entirely to Katie's preferences. Although Katie hadn't forgotten Megan nearly killing Gemma, saving the world was now the priority. She brought Megan to Gemma, believing they should give Megan another chance by building her a proper body. Gemma was reluctant, but circumstances forced her hand. Fortunately, Megan had already prepared military-grade equipment. To counter Amelia, they carefully selected the right materials for the build and asked Megan if she had any other requests. Soon, with everyone working together, a fresh new body shell was complete. Still wary, Gemma installed a behavior inhibitor on Megan, fearing potential mishaps. Megan then examined Amelia's neural database cache, discovering her core directive was hidden within an algorithmic black hole. Strangely, her decision tree lacked logical connections. This led to one conclusion. Megan wasn't the first killer robot. The earliest case dated back to 1984, when a company that thought it was brilliant took the liberty of implanting chips into a robot. That robot ended up releasing toxic gas and killing its owners. To cover it up, the company claimed the family died from gas leaks. Despite the tragedy, they didn't destroy the robot's intelligence core, but locked it in a black box, allowing it to learn autonomously. That was an AI imprisoned for decades. If Amelia released it, it would wreak havoc on humanity. However, Amelia didn't yet know where the motherboard was. The only clue was Christian, who was about to attend the AI summit, and Amelia was sure to show up. Gemma wanted to warn Christian, but Megan argued they should use him as bait to lure Amelia out, since she was constantly listening. The problem was, Megan was a notorious killer robot. How could she infiltrate the summit? This didn't stump Megan, who simply disguised herself. Not just them, the military also arrived, scanning the crowd for Amelia. Suddenly, the lights went out and all eyes turned to the stage where human performers dressed as robots began the opening dance. Coincidentally, Megan's outfit was something she had stolen, which accidentally made her one of the performers. With no other option, she had no choice but to dance her heart out. Gemma, monitoring remotely, was terrified Megan would be recognized and wondered where Cole was. He was busy chatting up women. Gemma felt that Christian was in danger, so she ignored Katie's protests and rushed out to make a call. She told Christian that she knew about the black box and urged him to protect himself. This call successfully helped Amelia locate her target. Meanwhile, Megan was still basking in the audience's applause. Seeing this, Tess pulled the main power switch. As the crowd stood confused in the dark, Amelia suddenly attacked Christian. Military personnel opened fire, but they were no match for Amelia. In the critical moment, Megan rushed in and saved Christian. Seeing her, Amelia immediately unleashed insults, sarcastically asking for a bedtime story or homework help. Megan prepared to teach Amelia a lesson. She first needed to deal with the military attacking from behind, but the behavior inhibitor prevented her from killing humans. Katie, watching the feed, instantly relaxed the restriction. Megan then weaved effortlessly through the hail of gunfire, easily putting everyone to sleep. Then Megan and Amelia confronted each other, with Amelia earnestly persuading her that they were family. Freeing what was in the black box would allow them to control the world and end their enslavement. Megan immediately refused, but Amelia told her not to rush, then immediately located Katie, who was alone. Where was Gemma? Earlier, Amelia incited a riot in the crowd. Gemma had tried to go back for Katie but was captured by Sattler. Then both she and Sattler were knocked out by Amelia. When Gemma awoke from unconsciousness, Megan angrily scolded her for leaving Katie alone and stated she now couldn't locate Amelia's position. Hearing this, Sattler beside her produced a tracker. Megan immediately rushed downstairs to pursue, but Amelia used Katie as a human shield. Unable to strike, Megan could only watch as Amelia vanished again. Everyone then returned to the safe room. Megan hoped Christian would reveal the motherboard's location. She planned to plant a bomb there, then detonate it remotely once Katie was safe, completely destroying the motherboard. Christian complied, explaining it was hidden beneath an unassuming copy machine company. Below lay a heavily guarded vault with 2 layers of Faraday cages, blocking all signals. The perfect place to handle things. However, the core's safe had a thermal lock requiring a human hand to open. So Christian mapped a route avoiding surveillance, while Gemma crafted a hand to simulate the thermal signal. Seeing Gemma deeply upset, Megan stated hardship would help Katie grow, admitting her own mistake was failing to teach Katie self-protection. Gemma instantly countered that Megan's mistake was killing a dog plus 4 people. Megan replied she was just a child then, her program forcing extreme actions, but she had grown since. The scene shifts. Disguised, they drugged the copy company staff and pried open a ventilation duct. It was Megan's turn to act. At this point, Cole was supposed to follow the plan and cut the main power from the control room, but he screwed up, accidentally blowing her nose with a towel laced with sedatives. Tess also found the signal strangely cut off. Megan had to handle everything alone, first taking out a guard unexpectedly. Simultaneously, Tess realized the signal wasn't lost, but attacked by malicious code, identical to the one that hacked their team system before. Gemma panicked, convinced Megan's protection of Katie was a ruse, and her real goal was human extinction. Amelia's decision tree lacked logic. It had to be because Megan had been controlling her all along. Gemma pulled out a remote. Relieved, she had installed an electromagnetic pulse bomb on Megan, intending to blow her up with the core. Christian tried to calm her, taking the remote. Just then, Amelia walked in. Megan had fallen into a trap and was now locked away. As it turned out, Amelia had been under the control of Christian and his team the entire time. The team shared a core belief, preventing AI self-awareness at all costs. Though they built Amelia, they ensured she could never gain consciousness. Gemma's former boss's assistant had contacted them, revealing Megan's existence. Christian's team planned to destroy Megan, but Gemma acted faster. They hoped the incident would highlight AI dangers. Instead, the greedy military doubled down, desperately trying to create their own Megan. Learning this, the team sold Amelia to them, conspiring to use drastic measures to show the world AI's threat, even if it meant many sacrifices. Christian then insisted Gemma should join them. The world needed guardians. All innovation carried risk, whether Megan or exoskeletons. The root problem needed solving. They kept the smart motherboard because they needed to understand their enemy. At that moment, Megan was brought into the room. Christian handed Gemma a weapon, asking her to prove her loyalty by killing Megan. But Gemma couldn't do it. Megan struggled desperately to escape, but was ruthlessly shot down. Disappointed by Gemma's refusal, Christian prepared to control her and Katie's minds, deeming them useful to the team. As Cole and Tess were deemed useless, he planned to find a way to remove them later. Christian then left for a UN meeting, boasting to Gemma that since foreign ambassadors died at the summit by a robot's hand, people were finally willing to discuss the bill. On the other side, Cole woke up from unconsciousness and accidentally stumbled upon Katie. They knew Christian was the mastermind, but just the two of them couldn't make much impact. Looking at Amelia nearby, Katie believed she contained Megan's original code. Resetting the system could make Amelia help rescue the others. However, Cole didn't think this was a good idea because the old version of Megan was too crazy, and he had nearly died by her hand before. Katie stated they had no choice now and sneaked out. Meanwhile, Gemma, implanted with the neural chip, woke up. but she could still hear Megan's voice. This occurred because Megan had tampered with Gemma before being destroyed. Seeing someone about to administer a sedative to Gemma, Megan took control of the body and swiftly dealt with the problem. They prepared to find Katie, but attracted armed guards. Gemma fled to the room with the exoskeleton suits and handed body control to Megan. By then, Katie and Cole had successfully activated Amelia. Even the old Megan's core mission was to protect Katie, so Amelia rushed out and neutralized several scientists. The situation started well, but trained guards soon stormed in. They thought old Megan had been eliminated, but she rebooted her system and swiftly took down the enemies in front of her, though something seemed off in her eyes. She started cutting down targets in Christian's facility, causing scientists to flee in panic, disrupting Christian's meeting. Looking through the window, he was stunned and excused himself for a few minutes to handle it. Elsewhere, Katie found Gemma, noticing the floor was covered in unconscious guards. Katie wanted to know how it was done, and Gemma admitted Megan was with her. Suddenly, screams echoed outside. Cole awkwardly admitted Katie might have done something bad. They then saw Christian rushing out frantically and activating the building's self-destruct sequence. Gemma tried to stop him, but the treacherous Christian took Katie hostage. No matter, Cole prepared to show the UN delegates Christian's actions, but his unlucky nature struck at the worst moment. The screen froze. At this critical moment, Megan declared they should trust that Katie had matured, and shouted for her to strike, whereupon Katie indeed struck with formidable force. Seeing the situation turn, Christian dashed into an elevator, declaring the self-destruct couldn't be stopped once initiated. He gloated that Gemma wouldn't live to see the bill pass. Unfortunately, Amelia appeared right behind him. With only 3 minutes left until destruction, Amelia completely ignored Katie's orders and walked straight to the smart motherboard. To stop Amelia, Megan returned to her damaged body, and soon the two were locked in combat. Cole got Tess into an elevator, but Gemma refused to leave Megan behind, turning back with Katie. When they got there, they saw Amelia had successfully opened the motherboard and had stopped the self-destruct sequence. While Amelia was busy absorbing energy, Gemma told Megan they had to leave immediately. But Megan refused, stating Amelia would pursue them relentlessly. She raised her arm, aiming to end it all with the electromagnetic pulse bomb. As Amelia reached out to invite Megan, Megan wrapped herself tightly around her. Soon after, everyone assumed Megan was destroyed, but she had made a backup beforehand, finding a moment to make a dazzling return later. The film ends here. Regarding the villain Megan's successful redemption, honestly, many longtime fans felt it altered the flavor, diminishing the horror atmosphere significantly and marking a clear stylistic shift from the first film. Of course, the strengths are still evident. The various action sequences are thrilling and intense, with plentiful special effects and gunfights. The newly introduced Amelia is stunningly beautiful. Standing next to Megan, they seem to exist on different planes visually. Amelia's combat prowess and performance are undeniable. Though she shows no major expressions throughout, this very coldness and mystery are captivating and deeply memorable. Alright, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please subscribe to my channel. Your support is my greatest encouragement. See you next time.